Hey there, it's Yvonne here and welcome to the Seaside Cottage. So today I have been working on a little project to store these pins. Now, if you've ever spilled any of these applique pins, it's absolute panic stations in our house. I can remember my poor dad, who's now 90, having discovered, I can't remember whether it was a pin or a needle in a cushion. It was most regrettable. So ever since then, it's panic stations if the pins spill. So this little compact, which, you know, you get, these are $3 from the cheap shops. This one was from Lifeline. And they're quite a nice little thing. But this one here I've repurposed and put some magnets in the bottom. Covered it unnecessarily, but it was a bit of a project, with some really nice little, I'll just stand up so I can see what you're seeing. Some really nice little dragonflies, nice background piece of material. And inside here are some magnets and a bit of cloth. Now I didn't do that side, which is regrettable. So if you put your pin in there, it stays there. And if you're working on a project, it's quite handy to have that lying flat and you can grab your pins. So today I thought I would just share how I did it. It means taking the compact apart completely, which if you wanted to leave the top like that, you could do. However, I really wanted to use both sides, and I covered the bottom. On this one, I probably won't cover the bottom. It's got a nice kookaburra and some lovely lorikeets, native to Australia. I'll probably cover the top just because I can, and it's a fun project. So let's get started and see how we go. You will need, I've got some magnetic strips. You can get wider pieces than this, but these come from Bunnings, but probably from your local hardware shop. I've got a few little pointy things. I can poke a bit of material in it if I have to. Some gloves, which aren't particularly necessary, but as I suffer from dermatitis, I like to use the gloves. And also, glue gives me asthma, so I've got one of these horrific looking things, but definitely a lifesaver if you've got asthma and using glue, which I highly recommend. The glues I'll be using will be just standard the art glitter glue. That's always a good glue. All of these glues are carcinogenic, so maybe some tiger grip. I haven't decided yet on that one. And this is fabric glue that I got from Spotlight. I know a lot of people use all different types of fabric glue. This one's quite successful. It glued that very well. There's no lumps or bumps. Not overly expensive, perhaps $10. Right, let's get started. The other thing I have is 3 bits of material. The top cover and the 2 inside. I'm not doing the back, although you could if you wanted to, as I had on the other one. Some lovely embroidery, butterfly on that. This piece of material, that's the right side. I'll be using the wrong side. I like the kind of antique look of the other side. And this pretty little blue birdie, which I thought was quite good. I think that's a motor, that one. This is just from a scrap I had, but I rather like the design, and it looks like it's stitched behind there, which you could have stitched it. This will be a Tim Holtz, a very old piece of Tim Holtz. But when I tried to match that turquoise, it was a bit of an odd colour, so I came across this Tim Holtz, which actually I think that probably will go quite well. It's all very busy, but it's a bit of a project. Right, I think that's about it that we need. Right, let's get started. So the first thing to do will be to, actually there is one more thing to show you. In the world of compacts, this is the cutest little thing that I got off eBay, and I'm a bit partial to them. So it's got little, these are from the 1930s, and they're really an engineering marvel, really and truly. So they pop open. You've got your little mirror, and then your little compact. This is where it all started. That opens up. I've taken the powder out because a lot of the powders back then, a lot of people like to keep the powder in, but being an asthmatic, it's probably not going to be very good for me. A lot of them had talcum in them, and that had asbestos in it. So yeah, so all these, and it works perfectly. I know it's old and rusty, but I just love it. This is all machine stamped. It has got some kind of straton. It's a straton. Yeah, so it's just cute with the two little doggies on it. And what a little tiny thing, and a marvel of engineering. This is machine turned, I think they call it. Yeah, so that's where the whole idea started. And then I went, ooh, perhaps we could put some magnets in and have a bit of fun. Alrighty, so taking these apart isn't hard. I'm leaving the bottom on that. This actually is wipeable and quite good because you can actually, you know, glue onto it. So you need to hold it by the hinge, and if you press gently, it will come unglued. And you can see that they've cut in around there. So hence mine little fabric pieces. I've used the pinking shears, and I may even have to cut some more of that. Interestingly enough, this little plastic piece was in with the compact, and that was the perfect size to make the round, because it's just that sat in there like that. Where's the ruler? Here we go. I think these are 3 inches. Let's have a look. Yep, they're 3-inch diameter. Yeah, so about that. You will end up by cutting them down a fair bit. Alright, so that was really easy. Got that off. This little bit in here. Do I want that on there? No. So you can see the well is quite small in these. So if you take the mirror out, it is actually being pushed up with a bit of that tape that's in there. But that is the inside piece of material that you want. So these are probably, some of these are probably going to be a little bit big, but that won't matter. Okay, let's see if this lovely butterfly, now this is the part where I need the gloves. Excuse my black gloves, but it is better than having dermatitis on your fingers, I can tell you. Probably not very interesting anybody. Anyway, I hope everybody's well in the world. A big shout out to my granddaughter Ruby and my lovely daughter Rochelle down in Bathurst. I'll be off at the end of next month to catch up with them, which is very exciting. And I'm going to be a bit careful that I don't glue my fingers to the thing. Right, it's pretty sticky that, but that's okay. So probably first, it doesn't really matter, but if you can see there's a little magnetic thing there, so you don't want to cover that up at all because it sits in there like that, and it needs to be in the right place because there's another bit of magnetic thing there, and that is your closure. Alright, so first up we need to get some magnets on here. So I have little piles of magnets, 3 piles, 4 piles. You can get magnetic strip that's wide enough. But on this one, you know, when you make something and you think, oh, I could have done a bit. I didn't put the magnetic strip in there or there, which was a mistake, really, in the end. It works perfectly well, but it just hasn't made it quite level. The other thing to remember is you don't want to get in the road of that rim. So it's all a bit of a challenge. Alright, so the big one goes in the middle. I've just had to cut these all different lengths. because here we go. Get rid of that and the virtually in the middle. You don't have to be too fussy. Yeah, that looks like it's, well, I've just sort of cornered the ends off there to make them fit, but you can get strips that are much bigger than this. I just did not have any, unfortunately. So one of these goes here. That one. You don't want to get in the road of that rim though, because otherwise it won't fit back on. So it's a bit of a challenge. And sticky things are always a challenge. These little jars I love. They're just good to have on your desk for chucking little bits of rubbish in. I've decorated it with some bracelets I found in the op shop. Make a nice dangly noise. Nice to have on your desk. Easy to make. You know, just these came with some flowers, and you put some bangles on them. All right, back to the project. All right, so that one can go there, and hopefully I haven't made it too long. Although the end there looks a bit long. Hopefully not. I'll be able to cut it off anyway. You don't have to be exact with it, but so long as you don't get on that edge there. It would have been quite good if I had had. And these angles on each side are of course different. It would have been quite good if I had had 2, 3. A larger strip of magnetic tape, but I didn't. So if all else fails, improvise. Now that must go that way. Ooh, we're a bit close. That's probably might be a bit close there to the edge. Let's see. Might leave that one and start on the other side. How big is this one? Nope. Maybe that was the area that I had. They were all a bit wide by the time I went to get it in. Can't remember. Anyway. The other way. Maybe it was the other way. That's it. Oh gosh. Yeah, I think that's what happened last time, was that by the time I got to this strip right now. Yeah, I don't think that's going to interfere with the placement of the ring. These can go in my little jar over here. I'm just going to stand up and see. That over there in its little spot. Stand up and make sure I'm in focus. Yes, that doesn't look too bad at all. Alrighty, so there we go. All the magnetic strips are attached to that one. So now I probably want to, well, that's way too big, isn't it? We'll put the outside one on first. This lovely embroidered butterfly. I mean, you could not do this and just have it with the cover and just put a cover on there, but I rather like the butterfly, and I can, so why not? So the other little thing that is really handy that I just might show you, I always had an issue of what to do with the scissors. You can get different things to hold your scissors in online, but this was on in an op shop, and it's really rather pretty. I think it's a flower posy, but it's very good for putting your scissors in, so they're not just getting damaged on the desk. And of course other things have ended up in it naturally, but yeah, you just pop your scissors in there and away you go. All right, so now what you need to do so that that forms around there is just nick there which you may think, oh, it'll fray, but it won't because of the glue. Put an enormous amount of glue on it. Well, not really. So I'm probably going in a little bit, maybe 2 centimetres, maybe a centimetre, just probably doing every 3 little things, where the serrations are from the pinking scissors. And if you go a bit over it, I don't know how that's going to glue, because I'm hoping that'll glue down all right. I want to have a couple of extra snips in there. Oh yeah, let's give it a go. Let's put those scissors out of the way so they don't get glue all over them. Okie dokie. So the fabric glue. I'm going to be quite generous. Now this was working perfectly the other day. Oh, here we go. Just a bit of patience. Didn't have it undone quite enough. And right to the edge there. A nice long string of glue. This is the wrong side. Let's pop a bit on here, not too much. Doesn't seem to affect the fabric particularly, this glue, which is a good thing. Okay, not too much. Line that back down. Doesn't take long for it to go off glue. Alrighty, so we want it the same. Fortunately, the platypus will give us an indication of which way up we want it. Pop that on there. Got a few minutes to wiggle it around a bit. I haven't gone right to the edge. That off there. Very sillily, which I don't think is a word, but very silly of me. You're making a mess with glue. A lot of people like to use a reusable towel or whatever, but these, actually I probably need 2. They're for sensitive skin and they work. So, oops, quite got that smooth. Alrighty, put that down there so I'm not going to stick to it. Alright, how are we going? Pretty good, I think. Now, is that where we want it to be? Where's that thing's up there? No, actually it's not. That was not where I envisaged it to be. What happened? Something did. Oh yeah, yep, no, that is right. Yeah, because it closes that way. Alright, okay, that's all good. Just smooth that out. It's stuck on there really well. Get all the air bubbles out of it. And then come to this side. Now I don't want to cover up that, so I don't have any glue there. Out comes the yucky scissors again. These poor old scissors are 1,000,000 years old, and we're not going to work on that. Just don't want to get any glue on my good scissors. Alright, these little ones are from Kaisercraft, and they're a couple of dollars. You know, if you go there and you've got one of their vouchers, they're a couple of dollars. Stay there. And they're as sharp as anything. They're a really good pair of scissors. Alright, so how's that going to work? I haven't got any glue around here yet. So when it's shut, yep, that's where I wanted the butterfly. So you sort of have to think about where you place it. However, it wouldn't have really mattered. Alright, back with the glue. Glue is such... I always get in a real mess with glue. The amount of times I've used that, what do you call it? That glue that glues everything really well, and stuck my fingers together. Oh, gee. Hence the gloves. Alright, I know this looks real messy, but it's not really. It's a bit of quite a good project to do if you can be bothered. However, it does help with the pin situation. Alright, I'm going to fold these over tightly. Doesn't matter if they're a bit big. Here we go. Look at that. And if you get a bit of... Oh, I don't really want that there. That's right, I'll chop it off in a minute. If you get a bit of... I wondered whether that bit would stick with the bit of embroidery there, but anyway. It'll be alright. Get to the top there, we'll just shift that away from the... And if you look online, there really is nothing. They've got deep tins, but nothing that's going to sit flat as you're working and hold your pins. And you can use a pin cushion. But sometimes these little applique pins get lost in a pin cushion, and they can be quite worrisome little creatures. There's this little thing here. Don't really want that. As you can see, these little scissors are fantastic. Just make sure I haven't got any glue on them. I've got about 5 pairs of them, so. Right. Give them a quick wipe. Here we go. No harm done. They're very sharp. Alright, how are we looking there? Oh, I didn't get that bit. We're a bit of a mess of this, aren't we? Well, you know what it's like when you do a project. You just... sometimes doesn't quite go to plan. These need to be pressed well in, otherwise your little metal rim isn't going to stick. However, I think it'll be well worth it. Okay, that's pretty good. This is where the art glitter glue comes in. Sometimes this, oh yeah, here we go. I only want a dab, just so that doesn't fray there. There's not much you can do about that. If it's got a bit of glue on it, it will tend not to fray. That's the other thing with things on the coast. I made this really nice little glue thing, but it's all rusted. So really you want your pins and your needles either in a needle book or in a container, because here on the coast everything rusts. So anything needs a little bit more glue because of the nice pointy end on this. I'll just use that. Here we go. Now that will dry quite well, I hope. Well, I hope so. I'll show you at the end anyway. bits. I'm just going to glue them down. Okay, that's that bit done. I'm going to leave it over here to dry. Try and get this back in here. There we are. Done. Number 1 done. Now, this is going to be a bit big. Oh, to get up and come over here and find the pinking scissors again. Here we go. How are we going? Good. Yep. Still in focus. Well, hopefully. Any sort of luck. Alrighty. This is too big. Trim it down. I think I'll sort of cut them all the same size and not thinking about it seriously. That needs to be the size of that. And that is hopefully 2 inches. Alright. But I want it slightly bigger than that. A bit of guesswork here. Yeah. Alrighty. I'm just going to take a bit off it. I think that's what happened last time. I made it a bit too small. That's right. We can do it. Here we go. Bit of an oblong looking circle. I don't really want to wreck it because this is the only piece of this fabric that I've got. Let's see. No, that's all right. I'll just even this up a bit. I want it to cover up. It doesn't really matter because the metal rim goes on top of there. Alrighty. Okay, how are we looking? Are we cooking with gas? Maybe. Bit of an Aussie saying that, cooking with gas. Okay. Rightio. Now, is that going to... I don't want it too fat in there. Yeah, that's going to fit over there like that. That'll be quite nice. I think I'm going to quite like that. I just feel I need to take a smidgen more off. And I need not to cover up that magnet. Rightio. I know this may seem like a lot of trouble to go to for pins, but it'll be well worth it, I think. And it's something unique. Okay, let's have a look. Yep, that's much better. And you're not going to see it, particularly my terrible cutting, because it's going to be under that. Rightio, bit of glue needed. Hence, I've got this bit of wet here. It's got a bit of grip to it. Now you might think, why am I not using that? But I just find it a bit bright. I really want the antique, more muted look of the wrong side. So sometimes, never be afraid to... Ooh, it's school holidays here at the minute. It must be... I haven't seen the teenagers off in the high school, but the young kids appear to be off. So the neighbourhood's abuzz. There's lots of holiday makers, people down the beach, people out that come up for the holidays mowing their lawns, doing all sorts of stuff. Dogs barking. The neighbours have got their dog. Comes in the door and Charlie and Stumpy have a good bark, ta-ta, because he's not used to the neighbours being here. And everybody lives pretty close. It's just kind of like, you know, there's not much room down the beach. That's right. Alrighty, let's see if I can get this on without. Yeah, oh, that's good. Yep, that's all I want to do. Alright, and I've left the little magnet thing there, that's there. Oh, that's going to be pretty. And I mean, you know, you can always, if you wanted to, make it even more decorative. What have I got in here? Old vintage button or something. Put an old vintage button on there, take the shank off it. You know, put a decorative element on there somehow, if you wanted to. Actually, that's a really old, go away. You know, you could put that in the middle so it looks like a little clasp or something, if you wanted to. I don't know. Quite a nice button, that. A bit antique-y looking. Alright, that's all we need to do there. Now, over you go to dry. Oh! Ta-da! Yeah, I kind of like the little bird like that. Like, you know, he's kind of on a bit of an angle. With the glue, get you out of the way. Oh, so what have you all been up to this week? I've had a bit of a quiet week, really, which has been quite good. I've pulled up with getting a bit of housework done, which sounds terrible, but we've got a lot of construction going on around us, and I had that awful flu, and I hadn't really caught up with all the dusting, and you get lots of dust with the construction. And living by the sea, which I'm not grumbling about because I love living here at the cottage, you get a lot of sand. The dogs bring in the sand, we bring in the sand, and the sand blows in. So we had, after the cyclone, that seems like an awful lot of glue, but anyway, we'll see what happens. And I do have these are great little things. I've got a little, they're for makeup, but if you want to move a bit of glue around, they came in a big packet and they're nice and tiny, and I use them for a lot of different things. You know, if you're doing your nails and you want to clean up the edges, or there's no glue right there. Come on, over you go, glue. Get it as much to the edge as I can. Alrighty. And now that is absolutely covered in glue, you can go in the bin. So they're quite disposable. They come in a bag of, I think it's 100 or something. So there's a lot of them. I'm just going to put a little bit of glue on here. This is not the best glue thing, this, but it's all that I could find. So you really have to just go with what you've got sometimes. Yeah, birdie. Which way? There's the clasp. So you have to kind of think about, I know you can see that glue around there, but that's okay. Glue coming through, but that will dry quite clear and quite well. I promise. Alrighty. I think half the trouble is the end of my glue thing is, I think the idea might be to decanter some of it into a different different container. With a little point on it. Although sometimes I have found that when you do that, I try not to get glue on the little magnet that's just there. it goes a bit hard if you, the seal on those little containers often aren't good enough, and you end up with a little blob of hard glue in the bottom. That's not good for anything. Then you've got to throw the whole thing away. And you know, who knows? I don't think this is going to be around for 100 years like the other one. So then you just place that back on the top of there. You can leave this to dry for a bit longer, but for the purposes of just showing everyone, pop that on the top of there. Let's do that. Let's just put a bit of glue on there. Izzy's got a squeaky paw. Oh dear. She's saying, "Mum, you've been busy for far too long. Come and play with me." Little stumpy bum that she is. She's a little mini Australian fox terrier. All right, Izzy. She's saying, "Mum, you've just been really busy. Can you help and play with me, please?" All right. This is just this fabric tack glue. Now, I thought that perhaps I was going to use that tiger glue because it's a metal, but I actually think it's a plastic. All right. We're getting in this real sticky mess now. So make sure we've got that little thing there. Pop that on the top. Open it up. Here we go. And you have, I'll make the other one and then I'll show you later when they're all dry. Now the other thing that you can do if you want to be extra pedantic, or you just feel as if you want to have a bit more fun with it, is on this one I put a little bit of rope. Good boy, Chachi. Too much going on for him. A little bit of trim around the edge there. So you could do that. I'm just going to clean it up a bit more. Right, let's see if it works. So the idea is that will got little stringy bits of glue going everywhere. That's not on quite straight. So you want it on so it will lie flat. Well, I do anyway. So you don't want it to interfere on the back too much there. That's why I've left that bottom piece as it was. So yeah, good. Yep, that needs to come back a bit more. There we go. There you go. All right, it's still wet, so let's get some of these little tiny pins out that have been the bane of my existence. I mean, these are Japanese pins, applique pins. They were expensive. What are you up to, Chachi? I find the steel in them, the stainless steel, is a bit better in our climate. However, like, imagine putting pins in a tin like that. I opened it and they just went everywhere. But they're not now. Look at that, stuck. Let's try these. Now these will be the test because they're only going to stick because they've got a head on them. They're only going to stick a little bit. Like, they're not going to stick as flat as these. Oh, they're sticking. But because they've got a bigger head, they're not as happy. This is not as much metal sticking to the... So the ones with the big heads aren't that good, but the appliques are stuck. And this, oh, that might actually just be wet. That might be the issue there. Yep, now that's stuck. That's still a bit wet. It's interfered with it. But yeah, so there you go. And then, you know, if you're going somewhere, you can lie that flat. You can pick your pins up from there. The appliques aren't going anywhere. and it will snap shut, and you have a pretty little tin. 2 pretty little tins, a butterfly in it. Anyway, I'll crack on and make the other one. I'll pause the video now and come back and show you the other one at the end. But before I do that, I'll just show you the few items that I managed to pick up in the op shop this week on my weekly rounds. So we'll tidy away this just tiny little bit here and clean my fingers that appear to be sticking together with that glue. Now, make sure I put the glue back on, otherwise it won't be much good later. I think Amazon, I looked on Amazon for some of that Fabri-Tac, but it was going to take like 3 weeks to get to Australia, so I gave up on it. Now, the first 2 little things that I found were, this actually came in a parcel at Christmas, and I only got it the other day. It got sent to the wrong address, but it's just a little, it's a Sandland. Cha-cha, darling. Cha-cha, darling. Enough. No, it's okay. It's just the dog downstairs. You're perfectly fine. Good boy. It was a good boy, Chachi. Yeah, so it's cute. And then a little sake cup in the op shop. So they'll be great for my little projects where I make these lovely little pin cushions. But that obviously doesn't go. You'd make a different one for that, but just to give you an idea, how cute are they? Yeah. But pins here, you don't want to leave them in the pin cushion because they rust. Particularly, I don't know whether I've got a sample here. This is just a little candle holder. And, oh gosh, he's upset. And I didn't put them back in the needle book. But when they do, they leave rust marks in your pin cushion, which is probably, yeah, that one has. That one's just a little fine beading needle. Yeah, which is very disappointing. But this poor thing's been used to death. It just sits on my desk and I love it. But over time, I've realised I need to take the needles out and put them in a container, which I'll be right for. But yeah, how cute will that be? I'll be able to make some more little pin cushions for those. And I do love my blue and white, as you can see from this. And this little dish came up. I'm not too sure what's on it, but it's lovely. And on the back, it's got real handmade in, I think it's Portugal, and signed $2. I thought, oh, I'll make a lovely little gift. I'll make a nice little needle book to go with that. Pin cushion. I'm sure I can find a little something to go with it. So that was good. And lo and behold, there was another one with a little bamboo on it. It's just quite plain. It's got Japan on it. There. $2 again. Lovely little dish. And then in the Oriental theme, there was this. And when I got to the counter to pay for it, the man was really intrigued. He said, I think that's a bit of jade. Or he didn't think it was, what do you call it, sandstone. She's determined with that ball. Oh dear, it's playtime. If I take it off her, she will bark. Yeah, so that's pretty cute. I quite like that. It's got a dragon on it. Might polish up a bit. I don't know if it's silver or what. But what a cute little thing. Imagine trying to make that out of jade, the round circle. I think that was like $4, which was quite good. Then these little pin dishes. Again, I love these. I love, there's a bit of sticky on that. But you know, they're nice, again, with your needle book to give as a little gift. A little lady on there with a man chatting over the fence. A little country cottage scene there on the back. Oh, this is very old and crazy cracked, but it is upside down. A Royal Winton. Oh, well, there you go. $2 again. And this poor thing came from the Christmas parcel that arrived the other day that got lost. And unfortunately it's got a bit of a chip in it, but it's a lovely lady in the garden. Might be able to fix that, I don't know. And it's a Sandland as well. Yeah. So that's all good. And then strange little, this was $1. These are little badges, but they're quite humorous. No idea what I'm going to use them for. None at all. Maybe somebody can suggest. But yeah, I found them really quite amusing. And submarine deck officer. Yeah, that. And then a parachute platoon dropout. Quite funny, aren't they? Oh my goodness. 95 by 721. Oh, they probably all mean something, the serial numbers, but anyway. Marine. And they've got a soldier. And Duckworth Flying Corp. Oh dear. So they were all a bit quirky, and I thought, oh, they might just, a general, just fit in the head cook. And it's actually 2 eggs and a smiley face. And then there was a nurse one somewhere. Let's have a look, see if I can find it. Oh, there we go, a trainee nurse. So it's got the needle and thread, the pins, and yeah, so I thought that might be actually quite funny to put in something. But yeah, so they were $1. And then just a little bag for $1. Oh, if there are ribbons, I generally do. Oh, I hope I didn't wobble it. Generally just pick them up. This is a nice piece of ribbon on a spool. Yeah, it's just good for, you know, gifts, and if you need a bit of ribbon for something. And I think why I really got that is because I love dragonflies, and there's this bit of organza ribbon with the dragonflies on it. So yeah, so that's a good little thing for $1. And then these were $1.50 and $2, just little spools of ribbon. I haven't opened them. These are cream colours and then a variety of colour. Bits of ribbon are always handy, you know. Put on a... The dogs are now playing. They obviously need to go outside. And then I've no idea what this is made out of, but it's made in Japan. So it's got made in Japan. It's a little, I don't know if it is wooden box, but I thought, well, all those ribbons, that's where they're going, in that box. Yeah, and it's kind of put together at the side there, so yeah. I may even put a little something on the top of it. Yeah, that was a couple of $. Yeah, so that's all my little finds for this week to add to my collection. So I'll say goodbye for now and pause the video, crack on and make this next one, which is a barley one. I'll leave the barley on the back. It's quite a nice scene anyway. And then let's see how this is drying. Oh yeah, I might take those pins out while it's drying. Otherwise, they might get a bit stuck in there. All right, I'll see you in a minute. Hello again. It is a stunning day here on the Gold Coast. Bit of a chill to the wind, but it is the middle of winter, and that won't deter me from having a little walk on the beach today. But anyway, back to the compacts. So they're all finished. They did come out pretty well, I think. Little butterfly. I put a bit of trim around the edge just to make it look a bit more tidy. And the little dragonfly. So here's the test. Let's see, let's open you up. It does lie nice and flat, which is what I wanted, just to have it flat, and then I can pick the pins out as I'm working. And they're not going to get lost in a pin cushion or regrettably in somebody's pillow. Oh yeah, they're stuck. They aren't going anywhere. That's actually even caught on there, which is good. Good, I think. Yeah, so I think they came out pretty well. In there. Oh, I've got some pins in there. Yes, I have. There's a little birdie there. Probably can't quite see the little birdie. There he is. Looks pretty cute, but the glue did bleed through a bit more. So it's probably a good idea, maybe to get that other glue. However, I was particularly generous with it, which probably didn't help. And then this little guy, what have I got in there? Oh, just the mirror and the inside of that. Let's see if the pins stick to that, because this one has the least amount of magnets in it. Oh yeah, they're stuck. They're not going anywhere. Good. Good-o. So that's them completed. Probably if I made another one for the bigger pins, I just put a round magnet there in the middle there, so that the head of the pin, the bigger heads, fall down into there, and then you've got more attached. So I'll probably do one more like that and see how we go. Anyway, all done, all a success. I'm going to call it a success, so I'm happy with it. So there you are. Well, hooroo for now, and we'll see you next time.